Welcome back, everyone, to akornzstash. Let's get into the newest episode of Gen X and Millennial Memes. The many faces of Gen X. Indifferent, happy, sad, annoyed, excited, whatever. Me at 18, I can do whatever I want to do. Me at 50, I can do whatever 800 milligrams of ibuprofen will allow me to do. I'm sure most of the people watching this knows exactly where this is from. If you know, put it down in the comments. If you want to know why Gen Xers are always mad, it's because we had to replace our record collections with a tape collection. That was then replaced with a CD collection. That was then replaced with MP3s. How many times must I pay just to listen to grunge? Things that today's generation should at least understand. Being bored. For example, sitting in a dentist office with your mother with absolutely nothing to do but listen to soft rock. Maybe there's a highlights magazine on the table, but we all know some other kid already solved all the puzzles. These were our fidget spinners, but using them to annoy everyone else was just as entertaining. Although physicists can't explain it, this exact picture was somehow simultaneously in 86% of American homes in 1986. Old computer games couldn't be won. They just got harder and faster until you died. Just like real life. Counterculture, 1980 versus 2024. This is true. A younger millennial once insisted to me that we dial 911 for emergencies in honor of the victims of 9/11. They live. Laugh, love. Generation X. You can drop us in the wilderness with 3 matches, a Snickers bar, and $1.75, and we will make it home alive. Some people could do it with less, but it all depends on what kind of time period are we talking about. Skeletal remains by generation. James Hatfield. Stop sending me this. You gotta admit, man, there is getting to be some resemblance there. If Gen X were an animal. Pretty much. Yeah, that pretty much it. Playing Monopoly by generation. Boomer. Millennial. Gen Z. Gen X. Way back in the day, my cousins would come to our house from out of state. We would play like marathon games of Monopoly. We'd usually start a game just after dinner. We'd be playing all evening, all night, all the way up into the early morning hours. Gen X grade school tattoo. The graphite #2 pencil stab. I think a lot of us had some of these, didn't we? Millennials. No smartphones. Must have been boring. Gen Z. Yeah, that must have sucked. Gen X. This literally happened in my high school. Somebody took an M80 and threw it down the toilet. And from what we all heard, it actually damaged some of the piping and they had to call a plumbing company. Took them several days to dig it out and repair it and everything. If your house had walls like this, you got spanked as a child. I think they need to go back to wood paneling, man. We'd be a lot better off these days. The home login screen for Windows XP on your family's computer. Euphoric Recall Starter Pack. Falling off the roof when you're a kid. Sneezing too hard when you're an adult. Sadly, this is true. Things Gen X is annoyed by. Then, the machine, authority, government, corporations, people. Now, Trader Joe's parking lot, crabgrass, ankle, knee, and hip joints, people. I agree with all this except for the crabgrass. I'd actually like to buy a crabgrass seed because it'll grow here when no other grass will. With that said, I think the second list is just in addition to the first list. Those things never did change. Okay, so let me get this straight. The #1 movie in the country is Top Gun. The #1 song is Kate Bush, Running Up the Hill. And America is in a proxy war with Russia. So we're just like, let's give 1986 another go then. Kind of, yeah. Except it's going to end up a whole lot worse this time, I think. Proud suppliers to the 1984 U.S. Olympic team. Yep. White Wonder Bread and Twinkies. The food of champions. Okay, Boomer. And bye, Felicia. Move over. Apparently Gen Z has discovered Brady Bunch reruns, and a trending phrase has emerged from amongst them. Sure, Jan, when referring to older people, slightly less pejorative, that word, than okay, boomer or Karen, and I'm totally good with this development. Welcome to Whateverland, a post-apocalyptic retirement community for Gen X. 5 awesome floor pans, unique underground bunker design, wasteland on-site theme park for active Gen Xers, over 25 abandoned buildings and warehouses to discover, brag music, start a mosh pit, and numerous empty pools to skate in. DIY cafeteria always open. All-you-can-eat TV dinners, make your own sandwiches, Tang Tab and Top Ramen, coffee cake just like high school. Agent Heather, she'll probably call you back. At Generation X, whatever. I think we could use some of these bunkers here pretty soon. Who remembers seeing these on the TV? They literally had to run a TV commercial to remind parents that they had kids and they needed to go find where they are because it's 10 p.m. Get in, loser. We're too old to change, so forget healing from past trauma and changing negative coping mechanisms. I got carded at the liquor store, and my Blockbuster card accidentally fell out of my purse. The cashier said, never mind. I actually still had my Blockbuster card up until just the last couple of years or so. Young people. It must have been boring in the 70s with no smartphones or computers. Gen X. Sadly, the current generation can't understand that there's more things to do in life than just sit in front of a screen. 2024. Gen X. Well, that pretty much sums up where everything's headed. Group therapy by generation. Boomer. Millennial. Gen Z. Gen X. Which is the most ignored generation? Failed successfully. I was just talking to one of you guys in the comments section on another video about how big the old phone books were. I actually got a yellow page phone book in the mail this year. I can't remember the last time that I've ever gotten a phone book. I can't even remember the last time that I actually had a phone book in the house. After I drank coffee, I show my empty cup to the IT dude and say, I have successfully installed Java. He hates me. When World War III hits the fan. Boomers. What's gonna happen to my rental properties? Millennials. Ashwally. Ashwally? Is that a word? Anyway, the data shows that we're all terrified. Gen Z. Yeet. Gen X. Same as it ever was. An example here about Gen Z. Sadly, from what I have seen Gen Z members write before on the internet, on posts and other things, I would say this is pretty close. What the predator sees after 15 seconds of chasing me. I'd say that's probably pretty true for most of us these days. When you realize that Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Prince Thompson Twins, Billy Idol, New Order, and the Bangles are being constantly played on the oldies station. Someone asked me if I had plans for the fall. It took me a moment to realize they meant autumn, not the collapse of civilization. I think we all should be making plans for the latter rather than the former. Before you start pushing and shoving older folks in a crowd, remember Gen X perfected the mosh pit, and you're going to be in for more than you bargained for when you get the movie It on bootleg. I don't know. I'm so stoked we decided to move to the country. Me too. The sunsets are awesome. People. How can you sleep at night knowing people don't like you? Gen X. With the fan on. How many of you guys have to have a fan on to have a good night's sleep? It just doesn't feel right when all you can hear is complete silence. The greatest flavor ever for only 5 seconds. That's true, but it seemed like it was true with all of the great chewing gum back in those days. Why was that? This door weighed more than your entire car you're driving now. That's probably not too far from the truth. If the Millennium Falcon can be a piece of junk and fall apart continuously for decades and still be cool and kick, then so can you. Dad, did you have a Minions movie when you were a kid? Our Minions. This is the 38th anniversary of me not getting the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier. When the hits the fan and it's back to paper maps, boiling water, and hunter-gatherer strategies, my money is on Generation X. I agree with this, with Gen X compared to the younger generations. But if we're being honest, the silent generation and boomers would still do better than most of us Gen X if they were back in their younger days. Of course, we could probably do better too if we were back in our younger days. But we're not, and it's about here, so it is what it is. This suit cost me an arm and a leg. The Wookiee Monster. I don't know where this came from. McDonald's making the filling for their apple pies in the 1980s. That reminds me of somebody, one of you guys in the comment section talking about how McDonald's used to deep fry their apple pies. And you're right, they did. Not anymore. Even if you can get one anymore. Being Gen X means having a general sense of impending doom since you were 13 years old. Can't argue with that. I hated that dog. I was lonely until I glued a coffee cup on the top of my car. Now everyone waves at me. I don't know why this slide is in here, but seems like a pretty good prank, actually. The world. Why is everything so messed up these days? Gen X called it. In the 80s and 90s, they didn't even build a new school. They just hauled these in and said, go learn something, trailer park children. That's pretty much the truth, too. I know there's been a bunch of us talking in the comments about they called these things portable classrooms. I don't know why they called them portable, because once they put them in there, they never moved again. If this image doesn't immediately start a long-forgotten song in your head, can you even call yourself Gen X? If you know it, put it down in the comments. Remember what they took from us. Yep, back in the day that pocket change was actually worth something. These days, it doesn't even help pay the sales tax. Who remembers the first search engine? I think I spent more time looking through the stupid drawers than I did actually using the book when I finally found it. One of you guys mentioned that you had a cigarette vending machine in your school. If you wish to smoke, will you please use a table beyond these pillars? Back in the day when about half the restaurant was the smoking section. Now today, you hardly ever see a restaurant that even has a smoking section at all. We used to have one here that was local that had a small smoking section, but that's the last one I've seen in many years, I guess. An accurate representation of going from childhood to adulthood. Wouldn't be too far from some of the playgrounds that we used to use. It'd just be a lot taller slide, though. Kids today getting their video game turned into a movie gets this. Kids in my day got this. When the motion sensor sink in the bathroom doesn't work. This is what an armed teacher looked like when I was in school. They just add some holes in the board so it wouldn't have as much air resistance. Odd things to remember about the 90s. The Best Buy Geek Squad Volkswagen Beetles that were always parked outside. This is akornzstash signing off. Smash that subscribe button. And check out my other videos for more memes stored in the Akornz stash. I thank you all for watching, and I hope this video has made your day a little better.